for everyone who's joining, and also, of course, a warm welcome for the people who are watching the recording. Like Pablo mentioned, in today's session, we want to take a look onto the new EUMETSAT service. So for all of you who are use the old view service, you will be very impressed about the new possibilities you have with our new service. So, but first of all, how we can access and get to the new service. And that's very simple. You just go to EUMETSAT.int and then you go to the images menu, and here you can see EUMETView real-time images, and you are clicking on it and will get directly to our new web map service. So as I mentioned, this is a web map service, so there is no need to download or install any software or configuring development environment or whatever. You just can go through the URL to this page and can explore many of our data sets and download the data, customize the map view and all that stuff I will show you in a minute. So you can, of course, also go directly through this URL, view.eumetsat.int, and you will get to the same site. So you don't have each time to go to the through the EUMETSAT.int. You can bookmark it and whatever, it's up to you. So what you have see then first is the default view. You have here a map view where you can drag and drop like you know it from any other web application. You can zoom in and zoom out to explore the geographical scene you want to explore. Then you have here this box where you can add all your data and customize your data. You have the time navigation here. You can go through the time and through the dates, and can here see, of course, also if data is available for a specific time or not. I will show you in detail in a minute. What else you can do? Of course, you can also toggle to full screen and zoom in, zoom out through these buttons. You can drag zoom, for example, when we want to take a deeper look into this area, we can just draw this rectangle, and the map will center on this area. You can download map data, and you can animate map to create time series. All of this we will show in a minute. So first of all, I much recommend you to create a new account if you don't have one on the EO portal. For that, you just go to the login. You come to this page. If you don't have a login, just create a new account on this button, or if you have one, type your login data here, click to login, and you will come back to these to EUMETView. So there is no need for you to have a login if you just want to explore some data. Some data sets at the moment are locked for people who are not logged in, but with the next version of EUMETSAT, EUMETView, which will arrive in the next weeks, you can access all the data without to have a login. But the biggest thing for people who have a login is to configure your own views. That's the first thing I want to point you to here, to this little button, My Views. When you click on it, this overlay opens, and you can see here all views I've configured for me. So you have normally a default view that's open, what you saw at the first. When I open this, this is a default view with some preset in the layer list, but I have my own default view, this one, and I can set my own default view through hitting this little star to say it's my favorite view and my my personal default. And every time I'm logging into EUMETView, I always get my default view. And the cool thing on the different views is that you can have a different presets of layer. For example, as you can see here, I have some different presets here, for example, the dust storm. And the main thing of views is you can have a view with just a layer preset with the latest data. So for example, you can have a preset, a view for investigating dust clouds, like in this example, or for exploring thunderstorms or ocean data, and you can have all your presets and get the latest data. This view I've configured here is an event view. So I log these specific layer list to a specific area at a specific time. And every time I'm open this view, I get directly to the time I've configured here, this 22nd January this year at 10:45 over the Indian Ocean to explore, in this case, for example, a dust cloud. You can see here this little milky area. This is dust from a desert. And we can also look into the dust RGB, a product of our data sets, which enhance the visibility of dust clouds. And therefore, we could go to the settings here with this little icon, toggle settings, and can reduce the opacity of the overlaying natural color enhanced RGB, and can see now the dust RGB. And can switch between the opacity like we want. And here you can see now this pinky area. This is the dust, and it's very clear to see now. Here is the normal RGB, and this is the dust RGB to highlight the dust. So, but we can also jump to another one. For example, this Medican, where we have some other data sets, for example, these SCAT coastal winds, where we can see the wind direction and wind speed, but this will we investigate further when we create our own view. We can have ocean data preset, for example, algal blooms here in Western Africa, where we have a different set of layer. We don't have an RGB, we just have, for example, sea surface temperature layers, or we can take a look at the volcanic ash RGB to see where volcanic activity is happening right now or on a specific time. This thing is from the Cumbre volcano near Tenerife, from the 30th October of 2021. And we can see here, this is the RGB, and this is the highlighted volcanic ash RGB. So this reddish pinky area is the volcanic ash, for example. And you can see, we can have a lot of different views. You can as much views as you want for a specific time and area, or you can have just a preset which your favorite layers, and when you load this one, you will get always the latest data without a specific area or specific time. And you can click here on this little star, and this is then your default view. And always when you're logged in, you will get this one as a default. But for today's session, I plan to investigate a bit more in the Batserai cyclone from last week that occurred in the over the Indian Ocean near Madagascar. So for this, we create just a new view. We say OK to ignore the changes we masked on we made on our last view, and now we have a completely empty view we can configure like we want. First of all, I save it. I give it a name, just test for now. You can have different groups for different activities. I just have one group for my default view and one for all the impressive events I'm really interested in. This time I will save it just to my normal view. And we don't want to get the latest data, of course, because we want to explore a specific event. Like I mentioned, the cyclone from last week. So we take the event view and not the live view. And we will say on which date and time we want to have this view. For our example, it's the 3rd February. And in the early morning on 5:15 UTC, I click save. And now let's go to the area we want to take a look on. I zoom a bit out because I'm not knowing where exactly the cyclone was in this time, but somewhere in this area it should be. And now we add some data. First of all, we can also configure our base map here. For example, we can change our base map like your personal interest. I leave it on the natural color. We can also display overlays to enhance the coastlines. This is not so necessary at the moment when we don't have any data, but the overlays are always lying, like the name said, on top of all the data. So if we have your raster data, the coastlines laying on top of it, so you can always see where you are, and yeah, it's very helpful. We can always, we can also display the borders. You can see here in Africa, the borders for the different countries. We don't need it for this one. And we can also set the labels so we can see the labels of the isles and of the countries and some big cities on the base map. So, and of course, we can also switch the projection, but for this project, it's not necessary to do so. So now let's add some data, I think. Now we come to the fun part. First of all, of course, we want just to have some RGB products. Let's use a natural color to look where the cyclone is. Our map switched a bit, and here it is. Here we can see the cyclone called Batsiari from last week. And now we want to investigate a bit further what we can show about it. So like I said, you have here different options to view. You can display and undisplay. You can have more information on this layer. You can also switch directly to the data store if you want to have the raw data, the archive data from data store directly. And you can add new data. And therefore, we have different options to explore which data we want to. If you are really sure and know what you want, you just can search for it. For example, we need the SCAT coastal wind data products to show the wind speed for it. And below the layer, you can see it's immediately loaded. Then you can search by the satellites, which data you want. We have different categories in it for the channels, for visualized products, or also for RGB composites. We also want from the RGB, for example, but we are on the false one. We want the IODC, the tropical air mass. Let's add it to our map. So, and we also have the option to go through themes when you just want to explore what you can do with the product. I think this is the best way to get started. You can see here our different topics are atmosphere, ocean, and weather. And when we take a look into weather, you can see here which products are the best for your case, for example. So now we have a lot of data here, and so the order of the layers are displaying the order of the layers you can see. So the layer on the top is the layer you can see, and for example, we can drag and drop and change the order of the layer, and now we have the ASCAD coastal winds layer on top of the air mass, and we just can arrange it and drag and drop it through this little icon at the at the most left on the layer list. So what can we do else? Of course, we just can take a look on the normal imagery. For example, when I switch between this both products, you can see much more detail in tropical air mass. You can also have the product information for tropical air mass, where you can find what how the data is generated and what can you read from the data. You also have here in the settings the option to change the opacity, like I showed before. And then we have also the vectorized data. Here you can see from METOP, it's a LEO satellite. So that's why you see here the orbits and not a whole picture for the whole area. But we have great luck because the METOPs covered the eye of the cyclone at this time, and we can look directly into the cyclone for this course. What you can do with the vectorized data is you can zoom in and the data get a more detailed grade. So when you are looking much more into it, you can see here that you have all the single data points, and when you go out of it, the data will be generalized a bit. And when we go into it and we want to see what is the wind speed directly or near the eye of the cyclone, we just can click on the map, and you can see here now the direction of the wind is 155 degrees. You can see the wind speed with nearly 27 meters per second. And you can also click on a second point, and you can see here is the wind speed just at 12 meters per second. So that's the way you can very quickly explore the data without installing or deinstalling, configuring anything on your PC. So when you want to share this now with your colleagues, for example, we just save our view and go to our view tabs. And now we have here on the list, on our My Views group, our latest created view called test. And here you can reload it every time when clicking load, like I showed before. So we can also change the time mode to not have the specific time and date we configured here. Instead of this, we could use the live view. We could change the title and all that stuff. We also can clone this view when you have some views or want to reuse a view for a second event. For example, you just can clone it and change the parameters you want. You can set here it as a default, and you of course can delete it. But the most interesting thing from my perspective is the share the view. In default, the shared option is off. You can see it here, but when you are clicking it on, you can share this URL with everyone in the world on Twitter, on Facebook, or with your colleagues per email, and everyone can see your view. Nobody can change it, don't worry. Nobody can change it and edit your view. It's just a read-only view. And if your colleague, for example, also open it in his EUMETView account, he could edit it, but just on his account, not yours. Your view is not affected by this. So you just can copy this link, and I will put it in the chat so every one of you can check it. And now every one of you is able to use the view I immediately generated for this event. This is very cool and very helpful if you want to share your information or your findings or work together with colleagues on your views. What else you can do? Of course, you can download.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You posted the link in the chat.
Yeah.
I don't see it. Maybe you did it to a specific person.
I sent a direct message to Debbie. I don't know why. So Debbie have it, but I will send it to everyone. So now everyone should have the link. Sorry for this.
Yes, I see it.
Great. So every one of you can now, using this view, you can adapt it, you can edit it, you can change everything you want and save it as your own. What else you can do? Sometimes maybe you just want to have exactly this view you created here as an image to send it to someone else, or just archive it or put it in your paper or whatever. For this, you have this little icon, the map data download icon. And here you can say you want to have just a picture of the current map view we can see here on the browser for the full map region or the full resolution products. You can adjust the size and you can say, choose which format you want to have. You can also include the base layer. The base layers are the maps here. You can add a footer. On the footer, you can see the EUMETSAT logo and the credentials and the credits for the imagery. And I think also the timestamp for it. And you can include a legend when there is a legend for your data. Not for all data we have legends, but for the data that have legends, you can also include the legend in the product in your image and just download it, and you have it on your local machine. So another cool thing is you can animate the map, and for this you just clicking on this camera here. And here you can see now that you have that you are able to set different times and dates for it. For example, this here is the 2nd November. Let us start at the 3rd November at 5:15, the time we configured here in our view, and say we want to have a full day of this view. We can say how fast this animation should go. We say 5 frames per second, and we will take 1 hour per frame. So every hour he will generate a frame, and now we can just let it run in our browser. It needs some time for buffering, of course. That is a lot of data the software has to generate and bring it in the right order and displaying it for us. You can see here the buffering status. So we are at 80% now, so it should be start in the next seconds. Okay, it needs some time. So what else you can do? You can also, not just showing it in the browser, you can also download it. You can download the full configured map you configured here, you customized here with all the layers. And then you will get a video of the time series of the animation with the different steps on as a MPEG, I think. you can click on it and check it. MP4, sorry. You can have it as an MP4. It's a video format, and you can share it with whoever you want. Save it on your local machine, and have then the time series of this specific event as a video. So can we see it now? Hopefully. Okay, it takes some time, so don't worry about it. You can try it right after the session, or in parallel if you have your browser open and go through EUMETView. Just check it on your site. Now we can see it. And here you can see now the animation. You can see here the cyclone moving. And this is very impressive for a lot of events, and you can just use it directly in your browser. You don't have to download anything, not to processing data. Everything will be made by EUMETView. One thing I didn't mention until now is the timeline here. And when you're clicking on this little arrow, you can see here that here are all the layers you have also in your layer list. And this is a timeline. So you can see here it's 3 o'clock, 4, 5, 6, 7. You can drag it to the time you are looking for. And these little dots are mentioning if there is data for this specific area and for this specific time for this specific product. So it sounds very complicated, but what I want to say is that every dot here means that there is data available for this time. And here you can see we have here for 7:15 maybe, or 7:10. We have data for the ASCAD coastal wind product from METOP B, but not from METOP C. But we have also data from the MSG, tropical air mass product, and natural color product. And you can see here also that we have a much higher timeliness for MSG products than for the ASCAD products, of course, because MSG are geostationary missions, and the other ones are the LEO satellite, the low Earth satellites. So they are orbiting through the Earth and don't cover the full Earth every few minutes. So yeah, and on this you can then just quickly navigate to the data you want to have for this specific time and date. And you can see here we have a small clock icon in the front of the layers list, also the same here. And this icon means, you can see one is highlighted. With this icon, you are marking the driving layer. So you can see, as you can see here, we don't have for a specific time all the data we need or we want to have. So we have to set a driving layer which drives the time for all the other data. And EUMETView takes then the data that are the nearest on this data point from all the other products. So when we set now the ASCAD coastal wind as a driving layer, we can see that we probably will get these images because these are nearer on these time step. So yeah, that's everything I can show you for now, I think. Hopefully you have a lot of questions and ideas, and maybe someone of you have an idea of what we can, what else we can explore. So of course we could also explore some more events here. If you are interested in something specific, we can do it together, or yeah, just ask your questions, and I'm open for it. I can't see the
Niklas,
chat at the moment.
I can tell you there's a question
great
in Slido. I can read to you. Is it possible to set my own labels for the cities, or are they hard-coded by the EUMETSAT tool?
Yeah, so no, unfortunately, no, you can't set your own labels here. You just can click it on and off. So they are configured by the system, and you just can show it or you can leave it. So you can't, yeah, put a label, for example, on the cyclone and say, this is a cyclone Betsy, for example. Sorry for it.
Another question, someone asking, is there a charge for this service?
No, there is no charge. So everyone can use it completely free for use. You can create an account I showed you before on the EO portal. So you have the complete access to all functionality and all the data we provide in EUMETSAT, and everything is free of charge. So do we have further questions?
There is Julian asking if there's a possibility to also organize a session in French. Yeah, we can organize this. I don't know, Niklas, what's your French?
Not with me.
Mine also not that good. But yeah, we can definitely discuss it. EUMETSAT and organize a session like this one, but in French. We did one in December where we were supporting Italian and Spanish. But yeah, we fortunately there was just English speakers then, or people asking in English. But yeah, we can organize this definitely. Elena Puga is asking in the chat, how do you set up the groups?
Yeah, a very good question. So let me show you how you can handle this one. You can just click on the My Views, and then you have here two options. One of it we used already, the new view option, and you also have the possibility to set a new group. You can click on it, say whatever, I call it test group, and you can also put a description in it and say okay, and then you have on the bottom a new group, and now we can take a new view and save it and put it in the test group. Or also we can change our views we already have and say this time it should go to the test group. And now you can see we have both views, the newly created and the created one a few minutes ago in the test group.
Another question in Slido. Could you please explain the difference between Data Tailor and EUMETSAT?
Yeah, the difference is that EUMETSAT is a web map service, so you can get the data directly in your browser, but you don't get the native data from it. So always when you want to have the native data, you have to go to the data store, and there you can tailoring the data through the data tailor. For example, when you want to have specific configurations for area of interest, for a specific channel configuration to combine different channels, or to format the data to another data format, then you have to use the data tailor. EUMETSAT is just an online mapping service with our data. You can imagine it as a Google Maps with our data. So you can just see it in the browser, add as much data as you want, and take a look on it and download simple data like JPEGs. But when you want to have a big tailoring from native data to another format or another configuration, then you have to use the data tailor. And also important to mention, I think, is that we don't have all the data we have in the data store in the EUMETView. So data store has much more data in it as EUMETView at the moment.
Related with that, exactly, there's another question. How recent is the data?
Yeah, very good question. I have a document for it. Let me check it so I don't tell you anything wrong. Yeah, normally we get the data between some minutes and some hours from until you can access it here. For example, the severity data you can access with a latency from 30 to 40 minutes. So when the data is covered by the satellite, maybe at 12, you will get it at 12:30 or 12:40 in EUMETView. But it depends on the different data sets. So not all the data have the same latency. For example, the RSS data have a latency of 3 hours. Some data, have 10 to 15 minutes, the RSS, but the high rate severity channel data, or some channels have a latency for 3 hours. Some ads have 30 to 40. We also have some data, for example, for the accumulated data for the coastal winds, for example, we have a latency of for 8 hours. So it depends on the data, but yeah, it's between some minutes and some hours, but not more than 8 hours. Okay, any further questions so far?
Yes, in the chat, Elena Puga is asking, can you view your local data in EUMETView, or is it more a task for data tailor?
No, you can't view your local, so you can't upload your local data to EUMETView and display it on the map. What you can do is use the APIs, for example. You can also, we don't cover it so far, but you could also display these data in your local machine, for example, in QGIS or S3 or whatever software you are using. You could also implement the web map service or the web feature service, for example, in this software, and then combine it with your local software, with your local data, but you can't upload it to EUMETView. When you want to tailoring your local data, yeah, I would much recommend the data tailor standalone version, for example. Great. So one thing I want to show you is also the knowledge base. For everyone who is new to our services, we have extensive knowledge bases where you can find really much information. So let's show where you can find it. Just go to EUMETSAT.in through satellites and then how to access our data. Scroll down the page. There you have some beginner information to get started with our data. And you have here the data access services knowledge base, very handy name. And then you came through the knowledge base. And here on the side, you have EUMETView and get all the information you need, or mostly of the information you need for the EUMETView, how to use the APIs, how to use the web UI, for example, everything what I told you so far, you can find here also. You can find the training events. If you have any trouble, you can find here help, and you can also take a look into these how-to guide from the fabulous Ben, who is attending also in this session. He's explaining in 10 minutes all the functionality of EUMETView 2. And when you are stuck into your problem and you need help, you can always ask us for help. We are happy to help. That's our job, to help you to achieve your targets you want to. You can always write a message to ops@eumetsat.int, and then you will reach our help desk, and we are very happy and appreciate to help you with your problems so that you can achieve always what you want to. Yeah, that's this knowledge base exists for every our products, for example, for the data store, also for the data tailor, for our new EUMDAC, our EUMETSAT data access client, a Python library and command line interface we showed you last week, and we will show you in the coming sessions also. And yeah, here you can find a lot of information about our services if you need to. Okay. So I can't see Slido so far. So are there any
no more questions in Slido? No more questions in the chat. So yeah, please, maybe we can leave 1 minute in case there's some more questions. And yeah, and otherwise we can close. So remember, you can post your questions in Slido, you can post your questions in the chat, or you can just unmute yourself and shoot away. On the meantime, I think I'm gonna just share my screen quickly. So I will steal your...
I stopped the sharing, so you can just hand over.
How can I share just this? Just I want to share my here. Yeah, so yeah, just a reminder that we have the Slido project always open. So even after the session, you will be able to access it and post your questions there. And we will answer that eventually, and even use some of the questions to decide what to focus on, what to show you in the next session or in the next sessions. As well, I would like to remind you that there's a survey in the Slido project. So if you haven't done so, it's really helping us understanding how you use the data access services or how you plan to use them. So it just takes a couple of minutes to fill, and that would really help us. And yeah, so I don't think there's more questions. No more questions. So I would then just repeat that this is going to happen every month, the second week of every month, normally on a Thursday and at the same time, so 2 to 3 local time, local European time. And if you find this useful, if you liked it, if you enjoyed it, please spread the word. Yeah, so the next session, I don't recall now exactly the date. Let me just quickly check. It's going to be very likely on the 10th of March, Thursday. And we're going to focus on the data access client, the EUMDAC. We already presented this on December. Niklas did a demo on that. And we might have new functionality added to it. And in that case, if it's ready, we will show it in the next session. So just for the ones you don't know, this data access client is a way to make the usage of the APIs of data store and data tailor a bit easier. So it's just a library you can use in Python code, but also a command line interface. And yeah, it's a very nice and easy way to use the data store and the data tailor. So no more questions. I will check again the Slido. Yeah, we have a comment, not a question, but a very helpful session. Thanks. I also would like to thank you, Niklas. It's been very good, very well presented, very clear. We also got a comment from Mercuris Gogos on the chat. Thanks to everyone involved. So pretty much in the same direction. So yeah, I would like to thank everyone. So not just Niklas, everyone at EUMETSAT, ensuring that the services are running and they're working fine for these demos, and also to everyone that attended. So all of you for taking the time and your interest in the EUMETSAT data access services. And just remember the way Niklas showed you on the Confluence pages, on the knowledge base, you can find a lot of information about these services, and just feel free to contact helpdesk, the EUMETSAT helpdesk in ops@eumetsat.int, and they will be able to answer your questions and help you with your issues if you have any. So thanks a lot, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the week and see you soon. Bye-bye.
See you soon. Bye.